All playing out on Capitol Hill when it comes to funding our government. Our next guest says the actions of Senator Ted Cruz have made it more difficult for Republicans and Democrats to have any sort of real conversation about the issue of funding the government and defunding Obamacare. Joining me now, Republican Congressman Michael Grimm of New York. Thanks for coming in today. You had a late night, early morning.
Great to be here. Yes.
All right, so the House has sent something back to the Senate. It doesn't look like the Senate's going to take it seriously.
Right.
Majority Leader Reid has called it pointless. There was a delay of 21 hours when GOP Senator Ted Cruz made the speech that he made. He admits it procedurally couldn't change things, but he says it's changed the conversation and it's awakened the American people to what's really going on here. It gives you less time to deal with it in the House, though, if this ping-pongs back to you.
That's correct. You know, there's several different issues here, and none of it is easy. But being in the majority in the House, we have the profound responsibility to actually govern. And governing is very difficult to do under normal circumstances, especially now with the polarized Congress that we have and a polarized United States. So the Democrats are in a much stronger position because they can just sit back. They don't have to govern. They can play 100% politics. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, governing is taking care of the people's business, funding the government, moving forward. But the politics of it also has ramifications. And one of the problems is, how do we deal with the very far-right faction within our own conference as Republicans? Because if you look, it's already stopped us from picking up 5 Senate seats over the last 2 cycles. And the reality is, if we really want to have the leverage to defund, delay, deal with Obamacare, because we do think it's bad policy, well, then we need to pick up those Senate seats. And this is not the way to do that. So we have within our conference some challenges that we have to overcome, but ultimately, being in a majority, we have to govern. And I think that the vast majority of Republicans are here working late, staying until 1 o'clock in the morning, because we do want to govern. We want to solve the problems. And I think that there are ways we can do that. But right now, Democrats are playing 100% politics, and they really don't have to come to the table.
Well, and they're sticking together.
That's correct.
So how are Republicans weakened when they have these public spats and this public criticism back and forth among their own party members?
Well, again, that's the challenge. And what I'm hoping is that because of this circus that went on, that finally all Republicans, the far right and the mainstream Republicans, can come together and say, okay, this strategy hasn't worked. Let's unify. And let's do things like make offers to the Senate that would make them look completely unreasonable. We know they have a problem with sequester. We know they want to raise the debt ceiling. Why can't we combine that? Let's do a 2-week CR, clean CR for 2 weeks, and sit down with the Democrats and make them an offer that they really can't refuse without being completely unreasonable. I think that's a better way to govern. I think that's something the American people want us to do on both sides, is actually try to talk to each other, speak, have a discussion, and work together. So it can be done, but it's not going to be done if my conference won't be able to work with each other. So that's the first challenge. I think we have unified a little bit since Senator Cruz's 21 hours, but I do think we still have a ways to go.
How concerned are you about the GOP taking the blame for a government shutdown if it happens?
Well, there's no question, I think, that we know how this plays out. There's 2 reasons why I was against the shutdown. One is because I don't think that is good policy, and if I was sent to govern and to protect the United States to the best of my ability to do my part, then I have to do everything I can to make sure that we do fund the government and that we move our country forward. Politically, I think it's also bad politics. I do think because we are in the majority, and the House is really what everyone follows. They don't really follow the Senate as much. They follow the House because we are the people's House. We are the voice of the nation. And for that reason, I think that, I think this is bad politically. But again, I think it's more important for the ramifications. How does the country perceive it? And what are the fallout? What are the unintended consequences of that? We already know that President Health Care Plan has a lot of unintended consequences. A lot of jobs have been lost. Underemployment is skyrocketing. There's a multitude of issues. But I also think there would be negative consequences to a government shutdown that we need to avoid. So we need to work together. We need to move forward. And I think now we've done everything we can to prove that we've tried our best. The best way to defund Obamacare is to win the Senate back, really, and then take the president on, combined with the House and the Senate. Right now, obviously, we can't do that with Harry Reid in charge.
I think you may have another late night tomorrow night. Congressman,
so.
Thank you for taking out time
Thank
today.
you.